Vice Mayor. It's a great honor for us. Additionally, Mrs. Maria Kalogeritou from the Commercial Chamber of Greece. Welcome, Mrs. Kalogeritou. It is. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. We welcome you here in the meeting. And finally, Mr. Panagiotis Konstantinidis from the Development Agency of Greece. Welcome. So, I invite our guests here on the stage to address you a short welcome. So, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Swallow. First of all, I'm representing Mayor Mr. Dimitrios Kyriakidis of Kilkis. Great honor for us. We have a company like Mokotiki, Mr. Amiris, who ran this project. It's a great honor for our municipality to have companies like this. Welcome to all partners. Many regards to Mr. Makopoulos, who is presenting here, the International University of Greece, and for this area to give this to make all this project. I hope at the end of in this meeting, we'll be extracting many results and have a good stay here. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bob. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well, Ms. Kalogeritou, you have the step to address a short welcome. And now, the representative of the Development Agency of Greece, Mr. Konstantinidis. So relax, take your coffee.
No, well, surely, seriously, we have to address it more than as well as this, but I do get the report. So, the brief welcome sheet. I represent Development Agency from Kilkis, general manager of the company. We are very excited and happy to meet you all. To be part of this project and to contribute to its success. We are also happy because we have the opportunity to collaborate with all these distinguished universities, budgets, and it is, which is a very reliable institute, not only for Kilkis. I strongly believe that this is the beginning, not the beginning of commercial cooperation with all of you. I assure you that the Development Agency of Kilkis was in and will be an ardent supporter of many such initiatives and looks forward to continue the cooperation in the future. I welcome you all to Kilkis. I wish you a pleasant stay and to farmers and family and all the colleagues. Took excellent care of that. And I wish you all success in your work and in your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Konstantinidis. And finally, we welcome the General Director of the Water Agency of Greece, Mr. Avramidis. Mr. Avramidis, you have the floor to address the order short welcome report. Sì, I will translate. We welcome you all to the city of Kyrgyz. I am the General Director of the Water Agency here in the city of Kyrgyz. Η διάρκεια είναι ένα εξετέλεσμα του προγράμματος. Μέσα από αυτό το πρόγραμμα παραχωρήθηκε ένα σχετικό μανογράφημα και αναλυτές του χωρίου εκείνη στην λειτουργία. The Water Agency of Kyrgyz is one of the major stakeholders in the consortium, and we contribute to this project through through the use of scientific equipment. Επίσης είναι πολύ σημαντική εμπειρία που αποκομίσουμε μέσα από τους εταίρους του προγράμματος. This is a very useful experience we acquired through the project's experience. We welcome all the project partners. We wish you to have a pleasant stay here in the city of Kyrgyz. So, thank you. Finally, we would like to welcome representatives from the universities from the consortium, and especially Jaser Muhtasib, Reni Dansen, Ayat Kassabe, I'm sorry if I'm not spelling well the names, Wasser Sakainen, Yasser Galber Tesuki, Hanna Huda, Zaid Altarada. We welcome you in the city of Kyrgyz. Thank you for inviting us. So, before I give the floor to Professor Christianidis, once again we welcome you here in the city of Kyrgyz. It's a great honor for us for your presence, and I hope that through this meeting, very useful scientific conclusions to be acquired and to be incorporated in the project overall. Once again, we welcome you here in the city of Kyrgyz and the premises of the National University. So, I now give the floor to Assistant Professor of International Hellenic University, Mr. Christianidis, who is the project manager of the project partner one.
So, I'm very happy to be here for the last time that we've seen a showing real world. Due to COVID problems, I'm very, very happy to be here. I would like to welcome you to our premises from Hellenic International University. It's one part of the big area of this new university. Covers the area. Mr. Stalidis is my colleague and professor, and covers the area from northern Greece till here at the district of Thessaloniki. We will have the possibility to exchange our experience, to discuss, and giving your permission to thank all the authorities that support our efforts, our suppliers, and they offer us big facility to make a reality this big project, the cave and the water. So I don't want to lose your time, and I just listen to possible to complete this very important. Also from my side to say welcome and all participants and partners, all representatives has covered the subject. We are proud that we participate in this project. We are not a university, we are the partners of universities, but cooperation with universities. It's a great experience, and I believe that during this meeting we will have the possibility to work on this subject. And also, let's discuss about our problems, about the projects, to also be discuss about the problems of financing and running, so as to have time until the end of the project to conclude all deliverables in time and in right way. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for your cooperation. So, the show starts.
We thank Mr. Panagiotis Agaridis, who is the director of Ethnobotiki Kirkis, which is the beneficiary partner of our consortium. So, Professor, we can proceed. So, I'm calling for the first speech Professor Mr. Petros Samaras from International Hellenic University to analyze the topic assessing water quality for human consumption and agricultural use in Greece, results of sampling and testing. Professor, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Welcome to Kilkis. I'm trying to find my presentation that I sent yesterday. That's a short time. Sorry for that. Okay. Okay, here we are. Προσπαθώ λίγο να το γυρίσω στην παρουσίαση. Είμαστε σε Zoom. Εκτεταμένη επιφάνεια εργασίας. Κάθε φορά.
Πώς να σου κάνω. Δεν ξέρω. Πώς το έκανες,
works dealing with the water quality and how the water quality and how people think about that, and how they react against the quality that they deliver. It is delivered by the water authority. And we have also some efforts to see how we can go on with our plans in schools, how we can enlarge the awareness of citizens, especially the young people, towards environmental issues in the water. We have already collaboration with the Chamber of Kilkis and Mr. Kapanagiotou in another proposal. We have given or at least we try to prepare another proposal. We had already a Zoom meeting with more or less all the partners, but fortunately today we get in person. We have also a nice chance here to see the area, because although we are in the same university, it's the second and third time that I'm here in this department. And hopefully we are going to also develop some joint collaboration with the development agency of I think so after that, this was a very short introduction. That's normal to spend some time in order to get prepared with the presentation. The presentation is about our activities during this period. And I have to make some connection with previous activities. I remind you that we had already completed the part with the questionnaires dealing with the willingness of citizens to drink bottled water or tap water. This is very important, especially for the Water Authority of Kilkis, since according to the new directive of the European Union, citizens have to be informed about the water quality, and they have to be to trust the tap water that they receive, and not to prefer hot water. It was a very interesting survey that we made, and we have already presented the results in L'Aquila in Italy. And the results have been communicated already to Water Authority, and hopefully in the next month or in September, we are going to have this awareness activity with school children. We are in contact with the directors of school, the secretariat of secondary education. Now the next stage is to make such a work, but with farmers. Of course, they don't care about tap water or in their irrigation needs, but we thought that it might be a good idea to go to see what could be the possibility of farmers to use secondary treated effluents instead of well water or irrigation water. And this is because water has to be conserved, water sources are shortened, and we have to find alternative resources for at least irrigation water. And we started preparing a questionnaire which was in some parts similar to the questionnaire that we had in citizens in tap water. Of course, this has been adapted to farmers and to recycle the effluents and secondary treated effluents and how they can use that if they know the quality and if they know what in which cultivations this water can be used. And we are at the stage where we are conducting different farmers, and we have to conduct around 30-35 farmers, and these are the owners and the users of farming areas in the greater area of Kilkis, and we try to find the farmers who have irrigated cultivations. And the questionnaires are now in the stage where they are completed, or we are trying to fill them. And in parallel to this stage, we are also trying to see what is the quality of secondary effluent, something that has been started already since 21. And we are trying to see the effluent of the wastewater treatment plant of Kilkis, and to check if the quality of this effluent is according to the guidelines for reusing wastewater in agriculture. There's this table that I have presented already in a previous meeting, where there are 4 classes, 4 types of wastewater that can be used for irrigation, from class A, which is the wastewater that can be used in every type of cultivation, very good quality, high quality of wastewater, up to class D wastewater, which can be used in restricted irrigation, as we say, which is only for irrigation of industrial and seeded crops, which means that while we're going from that side to that side, this type of wastewater, we're going to better quality, and in this type of water, which can be used as restricted irrigation, we can even irrigate crops which are eaten raw, without any kind of processing, like vegetables, let's say. So in that case, we need wastewater, class A, which has been subjected to a very advanced treatment of wastewater. And of course, this is something that it is not conventional. It is not made in activated sludge units, but in fact, we can use all other types of wastewater with the existing facilities and the existing wastewater treatment plant of Kirkis. So the concept here is that since we have this type of wastewater, R plus B, it would be nice if we could conserve water resource, or irrigation water, and use instead of that secondary effluent from municipal wastewater treatment plant. And these are the results from 20 up to 22. The last measurement is the end of 22. And here's what you can see. These are the blue color symbols of the concentration of organic matter in the effluent from the wastewater treatment plant. And this is the guideline, the limit, which is suggested by the European Union, and the limit which is also for from the environmental condition for the treatment plant of Kirkis. So we can see that all this time, all the measurements were lower than the limit, than the guideline. And the red color, with the red color is at the red color are the concentration of solids. We need to have a low concentration of solids since if this water will be used for irrigation, it has to pass through some kind of irrigation equipment. And we can see again that this part these measurements are lower than the limit. And here is another measurement of again organic matter, different from the first one. This is how, as we say, the CO2, the chemical organic matter. This is the biodegradable organic matter. Still, you see that this is lower than the limit. So what we can see from this figure is that we can use this wastewater for irrigation, at least in type B, C, D. If we would like to use it in type A, then we should have advanced even more additional treatment steps. And we have already, as the director of water authority mentioned, we have already installed an ion chromatograph, a machine and equipment which is used for analysis of ions, anions and cations in water. And here are some of the results of different salts from different well water, which was collected during that period that analyzed for all these different factors: calcium, magnesium, chlorine, sulfates, nitrates, fluorides, iron, carbonate, manganese. All these ions were measured by this the ion chromatograph, and we can see here the results of the different well water. Why you need that? I will explain the next slide. And here are the minimum, the maximum values, and the average values. And more or less these values are conventional values which are measured usually in irrigation water or even sometimes in tap water. What we would like what we would like to say about this effort here, this measurement, is that in the next step, we'd like to compare the effluent from the wastewater treatment plant with the well water, in order to see if all these ions are also measured in the water. And in that case, the water is going to have the fertilization ability, capacity, and the well water, so the farmers will be sure that not only the organic matter and the other pollutants are very low, but also the water. The treatment plant has the suitable quality to be used for irrigation. There's calcium, magnesium, potassium, and of course we need a salt component in order to estimate this index, very crucial for irrigation. of course, we're going to finish with the questions of the others, and hopefully in the next meeting, Jordan will be able to present the results of this survey and the awareness of drinking water to schools, and the final work with that we are collaborating with our colleagues from Jordan, and the examination of biogas production for textile and the enhancement in case that we are adding zero value iron nanoparticles. And what we are going to see there is that bioenergy, it's a very common, let's say, or a very modern word which is used, especially since the Green Deal of the European Union enforces and favors actions toward other energy sources other than fossil fuels. And the biogas is a very good technique which can be used not only for energy production, but also for some kind of management of waste, solid waste. So we have already some work on biogas production and biogas generation from different solid wastes. From the last meeting in Italy, we have seen that our colleagues from Jordan had a presentation on how we can increase the biogas production from specific solid wastes if we add zero valent iron nanoparticles, specific type of nanoparticles, and we thought that we can collaborate on that. So we have arranged with our colleagues to receive the zero valent nanoparticles, and they will be added to our samples. And here are the way that we are going to measure biogas, because biogas, we will use these 300 ml of glass bottles where we will add some nanoparticles and inoculum, which is a part of a sap that we will receive from an anaerobic digester of manure. And then we are going to measure with the standardized procedure with the biogas, which is so this will be done in the next, hopefully, 2 months, something like that. As soon as we receive the nanoparticle samples, we are going to start the anaerobic digestion experiments. Of course, this is an experiment that takes some time, at least 2 months, because we measure the biogas production every day, and then we see the cumulative production of methane. But I hope that till September we will be ready to have all these results. So that's all for this period. Thank you very much. I would like to.
Thank you very much, Professor Samaras, for the very interesting topic. Okay, now I'm calling to the stage Mrs. Kyriakis Apollaki, who is a member of the scientific team of the International Academic University. She will analyze the topic named Engaging the Community through Virtual Cave Exploration, Interacting with the Cave, Virtual and Auditory Tour. Mr. Apollaki, the floor is yours.
We're happier to welcome you to our living labs and host this meeting here. We're very proud and happy for the work that is being done here. I'm going to do a little throwback to some of the work that has been presented so far, and then go to more recent events. So just a recap for those that we're meeting just today. Nice to meet you. I would like to inform you that we're working on the Archaea project for the cave of St. George in Kikis. It's nearby here. It's on the hill of St. George, and it's a beautiful cave about 100 square meters large. I think we're not going to visit the cave today, but some of you have visited with us last year. I hope the rest of you visited too. This is the visitor cave, a top view of our visitor cave, which we scanned in fall, I think. Today we have the pleasure to present to you also the equipment that has been used to complete these tasks. This is done by our photogrammetric camera, which we're going to show you later. And these are some bones that we have scanned in the museum of the cave. This work is done with the 3D scanner. We scanned the bones. We presented this in an earlier meeting, and we have placed them in the 3D space of the cave. The goal is for us for the visitors to be able to touch the bones and examine the history of the cave in a more haptic and live way. So, for the past month or so, we've been busy recording an auditory tour of the cave. This here is the top view of the scannings in the cave with the camera. So there are many points that have been scanned in the cave. We're not going to place an auditory file in each of these points, just the points of interest. For this task, we really wanted to record the guide. We really wanted to record the guide of the cave, who has been working as a guide of the cave for the past 35 years. He's retired right now, but we really wanted to keep his voice and his experience in the virtual tour that is going to last, we hope, forever. So we have recorded some information that he's been sharing for the past years, and we're going to spread them inside the cave. We kind of do this in the Matterport software guide that we have uploaded also for everyone to tour the cave. But this has not been very practical, so we're going to approach this a different way and add the audio files through our virtual tour, which we're going to make from scratch and not in the Matterport software. Another thing that we've been busy about the last months is the feedback from the community. We want to learn how the community, we have been started to ask these questions. We want to ask the community, what do you know about the history of this place, the history of Tikis? What do you know about the touristic sites of the Tikis, How do you have in your mind that these sites can be used and presented more vividly to outside visitors? These are very useful. This is very useful information for us, not just for the project, but for future projects also. And just to know what kind of impact will our project have in the community. Also, what kind of impact will it have on the technological part. Will people know inherently how to use the equipment? Are we going to teach everyone? What is their experience using the equipment just on a fresh pair of eyes? One of the main goals, of course, is the standardization of this process. So we've been working on the Atheo project. We learned the ropes how to take a cave, in particular, or another archaeological site, and make it into a virtual place, accommodate every possible virtual visitor. But we think that most importantly, we have laid the grounds for any next project like that to happen, not only here in Tikis, but in Thessaloniki or in the cities of the other partners, just to transfer the knowledge of the how-to, and also the implications, the problems, or the benefits from such a procedure. For our next steps, of course, we will program the tour further and integrate the told you in our tour digitally, not on the Matterport. We are waiting to integrate the headsets into this procedure to do the VR tour, the virtual tour of the cave. And we're going to create and complete the questionnaires about to take the information from the community. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yannis Stavroulakis, for the very good speech. We have a short switch in the agenda until our Italian partners to be connected to the Zoom. So we can proceed to the short break, the short coffee break. Okay. Italian partners. Francesco, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you are live. We welcome you even through the network, even online in our meeting.
Thank
Mr. Francesco Tarquini from Project Partner 2, the Italian partner, to discuss about the issue of presenting research activities and results by the UNIVAC to leading players of the quantum-physics approach, industry, universities, government, affairs, and society, with a particular focus on Archeo Living Lab and the role of the Swiss University. So, Francesco, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. We just made a little bit change of the agenda, so I will talk about both the living labs, the state of the art of both the living labs, Archeo and SWAP. Then the second presentation will be done by Anna Tozzi. She's connected here, and she will update you about the training. So we just changed it a little bit because we thought that it was better also to focus about the training, because we are almost very close to the end of the project, and it's important to have an update also about the training. So my presentation, I'll try to be short because most of you already know what we did in L'Aquila. We had some updates, so I want to show you what we did new, what are these updates. So I will go very fast, but you already know that in L'Aquila we have two locations of the living labs. One in the heart of the city center, which is Palazzo Camponeschi. The MedQuote partners that came to L'Aquila last time, they had the chance to visit the lab. And the other one is in the bus terminal near Basilica di Colle Maggio. The update is that we now have a new location. This location is also in the city center, very close to the city center. It is very close to a fontaine, which is called Fontana Luminosa, and is a very famous fontaine in L'Aquila. And the good news is that this new location is co-located with an info point, a tourism info point. So it will be attended by someone for 8 or 9 hours per day. So this is a very good news. We had the chance to establish also this location of the Living Lab, and we took this opportunity. Very, very fast. I go again in Living Lab in Palazzo Camponeschi. We have the interactive kiosk. Some of you already saw that we have the new version of the interactive kiosk. Now they are completely, they can be completely managed by internet, so you don't have to go on site to change the contents of this kiosk. You can do in a very easy way using a web browser, and you can access and change the content for each one of the kiosks, and you can push the content to the kiosk by a push notification, and they will receive the notification and then will update the content. As you can see, these are just an emulator, but the application that is running on the kiosk is an Android application, and so it's more or less like having a big phone, big smartphone, and then they will receive the notification and then automatically will update the content of the kiosk. We already tested it during the last steering committee and also during the thematic seminar in L'Aquila. Now we are using it to show the contents of the what we are doing for MedQuote, in particular for the Archeo Living Lab. So in this kiosk now there is a picture of what we are doing in Amiternum archaeological site. You will see something later in my presentation, and what you see here is also proposed on the kiosk in our university. So as you can see, when you update something, the kiosk will receive a notification. They say, warning, something is updating. Sorry, the system is updating. Try again later. In a very few seconds, it will again show the new. It will show the new content on the kiosk. So we had the Living Lab in the bus terminal. We already had as you know, we already had this location, and we are keeping this location because it's very close to the bus station. So everybody that arrives in L'Aquila by bus will pass through here. So we'll see some posters, some videos about MedQuote, and I think it's a very good, commercial for MedQuote activities. And then we have the new location. As you can see, here is the castle of L'Aquila. very close to this info point. The info point is co-located with a tourism information point, and that gives us the opportunity to reach a very huge quantity of people. Because if someone comes to L'Aquila and wants some information about place to visit and so on, it will go. It surely will go to the info point, and we have the chance also to, involve more citizens in this project. At this moment, you can see here some screens. These screens are from the municipality of L'Aquila. We asked to the JTS the permission to spend our budget in order to buy some new devices just to be placed in this new location of the Living Lab. We are just waiting for the authorization. We will hope that they will authorize us to spend the money that we already have in our budget, because it's very important for us to equip also this Living Lab point. Because I repeat, this is co-located with an info tourist point. So is the only Living Lab attended 8 hours per day, every day, more or less every day. I mean, not every day of the year, but almost every day. So it's gonna be the best position and the best location for the Living Lab. So let's hope that the JTS will allow us to complete the equipment of this new location. So this is the technological architecture of our Archeo Living Labs. As you can see, we have a low latency connection made by optical fiber. So we are connecting those locations of the info point of the Living Labs by optical fiber to our university servers. And on these servers that we are now deploying all the models, 3D models, virtual reality models, and so on. So everything that you will see through the visors will be downloaded automatically from the servers, and we are trying to not store any content on the device when possible. At first stage, we have to store some models inside the device, but the idea is to cut the wire and make everything, downloaded as on demand when someone will ask for this content. So this is the future architecture of our Living Labs, Archeo Living Lab, and we have the devices mixed reality, can be virtual or augmented reality, and the content will be delivered by using, for example, a 5G connection or a very low latency connection, Wi-Fi, and so on. Now we have all the visors. We would like to buy the new version of the Oculus, which is the virtual reality device. So we asked the permission to JTS. We hope that we will receive this permission, because we have 2 devices of Oculus, but the new release version is very, very new. It has many, new feature that we would like to try, and so it would be a good chance to buy also the new one, which has been released, I think, 2 or 3 months ago, no more. And we also have the Microsoft HoloLens, and we have assigned 3 or 4, I think 4 now, bachelor thesis on deploying the application on this kind of devices. 2 of them are almost ready. I think the people that are working on this will graduate in June, so they will be for sure ready for the mid of June, because they have to graduate, so they have to finish their work. And I will show you next time that we see. I will show you also this kind of application completely released. The pilot site about the Archeo Living Labs, we already have Basilica di Montelemaggio, we have Santa Maria ad Criptas, we have the Museum of Abruzzo. Abruzzo region is the region in which is located the city of L'Aquila, and then the new site, which is the Amiterno archaeological site. I don't know if it's a very strange thing, because the university owns the site of the archaeological Amiterno site. The property of the land is of the university, so there's a very good chance for us to enhance what we have inside our university. So about Basilica di Collemaggio, we have the opportunity to reconstruct the history of the basilica. So if you go inside now, you cannot see the Baroque church. You see a completely different church, but using a very old picture, we had the chance to reconstruct it. And so using the virtual reality, not augmented now, but we will work also on augmented reality, you can see something, how the church was in Baroque epoch. Then we have the 3D virtual reconstruction of Santa Maria Cryptas, the ones that came in L'Aquila had a chance also to put on the visor and visit this church. This is already available for the citizen. Now is available for the citizen in Living Lab at the Palazzo Camponeschi, but we will transfer, or better, we will copy this model also in the new visor and will be available also in the new info point. So many people will pass by there and will virtually visit the Santa Maria Cryptas. And on the right side of the slide, you can see some masterpieces took from this church, and they are reproduced in with a 3D model. The idea is, I don't know if you see the pointer, but here you can see inside the lower left picture, there is the same masterpiece on the wood that is on the right side of the slide, because that masterpiece was took away from the church, but with virtual reality, we can put it back on the church. And what we did now is to use the augmented visor to, when someone goes in the real church, putting on the augmented visor, he can see the masterpiece is in its own original location. So, and now it's available, this. And then we, in Palazzo Camponeschi, we are still working on this, but we have some beta version of the application. We took so many pictures during the rebuild and the reconstruction of this building. And so what we can now offer to the visitors of this building is to see beyond the floor and beyond the ceiling and beyond the walls, because we, using augmented reality, for sure, they can see on what they are working, I mean. So, and this is also available at the moment. The new, the novelty here is that very recently, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, we appointed a company to virtually reconstruct, to create a 3D reconstruction of the Amiternum site, of a section of Amiternum site. Here on the left side, you can see how was the city of Amiternum in Roman period. And what we are trying to do is to realize something like the picture that you see on your right. So we can walk inside the city and we can take a look of the monuments and everything that the houses and everything that was inside. This picture is not from Amiternum, it's from another castle that we rebuilt virtually, but it's just to give you the idea of what we want to do in Amiternum archaeological site. So I think for sure before the end of the project, but I think very close to the end of the project, we will have this 3D model ready. And it will be available for sure also after the end of the project for everyone. It will be enhanced also after the end of the project. We also developed an alpha version, because it's at very early stage, but we are working on it. Application for smartphone, for Android smartphone, that will use the augmented reality. So we have the application, and looking to the screen of the smartphone. This is a picture taken in the Amiternum website. When the visitors can look inside the screen, it will have some info window about what is looking at. So at the moment, we just put here that this is the theater of the Amiternum and so on. But for sure, it will be enhanced. The server side of this application is completely open. I mean, the historical expert can write down the text that then we will show on the application. And at the moment, we just have this info window, but the idea is to put some more object in the virtual reality and to enhance this application. This application is ready. We are testing it with, I think, 10 testers, no more. And we are now collecting the feedback to enhance the application. In the lower part, just to say, in the lower part of the screen, we have the map with the user location and the place of what you are looking at. We are, I think, in a good state with the Archeo Living Lab. We are keep developing the application. but all the server side is, I think, done now. So we received all the visors. We hope we can receive also the new version of the virtual reality visor, so we can test also the new features. Let's move now to the SWAP Living Lab. We didn't have any pilot basin to this Living Lab, but to the SWAP Living Lab, we keeping Gran Sasso Spring and Chiarino Spring. They are completely different. The Gran Sasso was already done before the start of the project. So for us, it was, I mean, the masterpiece to copy, because it was well realized, and then we took much inspiration, and let's say, from this spring of Gran Sasso, and so we took many ideas from there, and we moved to the new basin of Chiarino. So this is very particular because it's under the mountain and is underneath the highway. So for sure we have to monitor a very particular kind of what can be the pollution of this water. For example, we have monitoring heavy and light hydrocarbons, because it's why on the top of the spring there is a highway, so it can be the possibility that some fuel maybe can just go inside the water, and it's very important to monitor it. As soon as we receive an alarm or something like this that says the water is not so good, it will completely stop the flow of the water to the city, and we clean completely the basin in which this water was stored, and then we start again when the water is completely clear. We have an early warning system already in function there, and we are doing the same thing, but with different parameters in the Chiarino basin. As you can see, we can look at the parameters live continuously. This is just an example of charts of some parameters from the Gran Sasso spring. And then we move to the new one, the one that was installed for the METPOD project, which is the Chiarino. Chiarino is a river, and the spring is in the middle of nowhere, let's say, in the middle of, and those are the two. Here on the left, you can see the place in which we put every stuff inside. It is a very, very small place in this forest, and so it was difficult for us to install all the the tools here, but we managed to do it. Sorry, this slide was in Italian. I didn't notice it and didn't translate, but there is another slide with the same content in English, so we'll talk about in 1 minute. So the monitoring system is installed and is now monitoring the temperature, the conductivity, the pH and redox of this water. All the equipment was installed, as you can see here, in the top level of this little house, and the water is flowing at lower level. So no one of these device is in contact with water. We have a pump that takes the water from downstairs. It pulls the water up. All the system, the probe will do all the measure, and then will throw away this small amount of water that we used for test. At the moment, all the system is powered by batteries, but finally, let me say, after 1 year of meetings and work, finally we start the project to self-power the system using a water turbine. So now we have a team of 4 university professors that are working on this, and end of the year, maybe after the end of the project, but I think that can be considered also a result of the project because it started during the project. We will have a self-power system that will use the flow of the water to generate the power needed for the system. It was a struggle, believe me, to get this because for the law regulation and so on, it was very difficult to arrive at this point. Now we managed to do this, so the work has finally started. Those are the devices installed. There is a data logger and gateway that send the data to the servers. This is the sampling pump that picks up the water. This is automatic sampler because when something happens, I mean, when parameter is out of the range, the automatic sampler will take a sample. We can take, I think, 10 or 9 sample, and then you can go there. I mean, take your time to go there and then collect the samples, but the samples are taken in the precise moment in which the parameter was not in the specific range. Then we have the probe, and then we have the densimeter. We can go to, if you want, you can try, and I have to give you the password, but you can go to this website and you can check live the data that are coming from the Chiarino Basin. We made some changes because the biological expert, the water expert, told us that we have to collect at least 4 measurements per hour. Otherwise, they are unuseful. So we had to increase the sampling rate, and now we are taking 4 samples for each hour, for each day, 24/7. So this means that for sure we will drain the battery faster. But with the new solution of the self-powered system, this is not a problem. So by the end of the day, the system will be completely autonomous, and we can also increase this number of sampling. Here, as I showed you, the last slide that was in Italian, sorry. A self-powered system will be installed, and now 4 experts are working on this activity. Not just 4 experts, 4 university professors, so it's a very good and professional team, I mean, and I'm completely sure that they will manage to realize something that can be installed before the end of the year. Another update, as you may know, we bought 24 smart meters to monitor the use of the drinking water inside the home of citizen. And we, as university, we just bought 24 of them, but the managing authority bought 400 of them. So we have the chance to install more than 400 smart meters. At the moment, 5 of them has already been installed. 1 will be installed also at the house of our Professor Sandra Tozzi, so she will be a tester for us. And we are now giving to all the users that just received the new smart meter and a mobile application like this one. We developed this application. With this application, the user can monitor all the consumption, all the user of the water during the day, year, months, and so on. They can have graphs and about the usage. But the most important thing is they can receive notification from the water managing authority. For example, if something happened to the pipeline, or there is an interruption of the service for some reason, they will receive a notification on their smartphone which say from this hour to this hour the service will not be available, and so on. Or maybe if there is unusual consumption of water, let's say, for example, in a house every night the consumption of water is keeping to go on and is increasing. Maybe there's some loss of water in the system, and the customer can be informed by this application that will tell you something is strange in your system because you are using continually the water during the night. At the moment, these notifications are made manually, so there is an operator that has to go there and write down the notification. But we are working on the use of AI to automatically monitor and create in an autonomous way the messages to be sent to the user. That was an example. If someone uses continuously the water during the night, I think that is very easy to think that there is a loss of water in the pipeline. So it's automatically the notification will be automatically sent to the user. Next steps for the SWAP Living Lab and the Archeo Living Lab. We are keep developing the augmented reality and virtual reality application. Now I think we can say that we are already in a beta version of the system, but we will enhance it. We have to finalize the installation of the smart meters. At least we have to install all the 24 smart meters, both using the budget of Medcode. They have to be installed before the end of the project, but I hope and I'm pretty sure that we will install much more than 24 smart meters before the end of the project. Then we can share with all of you our 3D models. They are available at that link. If you, I'll send you the presentation so you can copy and paste the link and download at least one. At the moment, there is only Santa Maria Cripta's virtual model available, but we will also put all the other models in this repository. And so I think that I'm finished with the overview of the state of the art in our living labs in L'Aquila. If there are any questions, I'm here and I'm glad to answer to you. Otherwise, I leave the floor to Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francesco, for your very interesting speech. Mr. Francesco Tarquini, the representative from Tania, Project Department number 2. Okay, we can proceed to the next speech. Professor Anna Tozzi, again from Project Department, the Italian partner. Hello, Professor. Do you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Don't worry. So, how much time do I have for the presentation?
Okay, Professor, you can proceed with your speech. Thank you.
Okay, I will be. Okay, this.
You have around.
I share my. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Okay. Yes, we are okay.
Okay. It should be full screen. Let me see.
In basso a destra proprio.
Dove? A zoom?
Vicino allo zoom. L'icona prima dello zoom.
E c'ho il file prima dello zoom.
Basso a destra.
Questo.
You have around 15 minutes.
Basso in basso, giù.
No, giù, lo vedi il mio screen? Dove vado?
Basso a destra. Tutto in basso a destra, proprio sotto la slide, lì dove ci sta 75%, a fianco c'è un tasto.
Ah, eccolo, ora lo vedo, sì.
Sulla sinistra? No, sulla sinistra. Sulla sinistra? Ancora? Quello lì.
Questo?
Quello dopo, a destra.
Questo? Va bene?
Tutto a destra.
Okay, Professor Guerra,
Okay. I'm trying to remove the images because I cannot see. Okay. Okay. So what I'm doing today is continuing the explanation of what we should add as an axis to the training material. So you know that the training materials that we already shared are 3 chapters. One is the history of the universities, the connection of universities with the places, universities as social innovators. Chapter 3 is social innovation within a QH model, analysis of MedQuod universities' potential concerning social innovation, proposed methodology for research, QH collaboration, living lab, and responsible research. The focus of today is on how to build the model of quadruple helix, how to involve the fourth helix. This was the topic of the training in Tunisia. What is the role of the group, the CT development groups, and how today I will make some observation how the living lab work. Okay, you know that the new agenda for higher education, we have to remember always that the partnership of this project is made of universities who cooperate with the cities where they are located. So all the policies, European policies concerning higher education must be taken into consideration. And the new agenda of our education focuses on the role of living labs in developing the universities of the 21st century, so the new universities who follow the transformation of the economical system, ecosystem, from entrepreneurial university in civic universities, engaged universities. Okay, so this is the perspective where we are working. Living Lab are defined as the places that help students critical thinking, creative entrepreneurial skills, and have can understand and be able to cope with the main challenges and work across disciplines and countries. Okay. We have to, the university are redefining the third mission, and the third mission is complemented, is including not only the entrepreneurial capacities as developed by the technological transfer offices, for instance, but to include in these activities the social aspect. This is done also through the application of the principles of responsible research and innovation. We will speak about this in another meeting, maybe. And what university should do? Should prepare strategic plans according to these new trends, new requirements, also the new expectations from the universities, that cannot be more only bodies who spread information, spread knowledge, and create knowledge, but must live in the place where they are located, share the problem, try to find locally solutions, and propose these local solutions to other situations. And what we are doing through the cross-border living lab. Okay. We have this, the role, etc. Of course, we are working in an international perspective, and we are speaking of international development cooperation. This includes also the commitment towards the 17 goals of Agenda 2030. Okay, now we have to speak a little bit, and each partner should reflect on this, how to involve the elites, how to make the Living Lab work concretely. And as we could see, there is not a unique recipe. We have to adapt knowledge and theory to the real cases and produce empirical data. What are the Living Lab? The Living Lab are places we established through the QH approach. This Living Lab contain and gather the 4 helices. So stakeholders are not only enterprises, academia, and policy makers, but also citizens that can be users, can be customers, according to what we are doing. These stakeholders must co-create, must produce innovation, must be connected in real life and virtual networks, and must work in a multi-contextual, multi-level sphere. Okay. Again, it is clear that the geography is important because, and we are experimenting through our project, that what we are doing in Italy, even though the aims converge towards the same goals, but the way how these are implemented depends on the geography, on the place, on what we are, each Living Lab can do in the real life context. Okay. The Living Lab process that integrates user-centered research and open innovation is based on a maturity spiral concurrent involving multidisciplinary and multi-level team in 4 main activities: co-creation, bring together technology push and application pull, crowdsourcing, crowdcasting into diversity of views, constraints, and knowledge, sharing that sustains the ideation of new scenarios, concepts, and related artifacts. So, one thing that each partner should explain in the addendum that should be done, also for preparing the action plan for Sympathy project, is how the Living Lab in Greece, in Palestine, in Tunisia, applied or implemented this co-creation, exploration, engage all stakeholders. How did we do this? How could we do? Especially user communities at the earliest stage and of the co-creation process for discovering emerging scenarios, usages, and behaviors through live scenarios in real or virtual environment. So how? One question to the scheme that I was speaking about since long ago will contain these questions about this. Experimentation, how the four helices were working together for experimenting, collecting data and experimenting the process, also through a very, very clear evaluation activities. The evaluation assess new ideas. So how the four helices decided together the topics, the idea to develop, which concept, which principles were followed to reach the final decision. Okay. There is a project called Leaders from Francesco Molinari, is one of the inventors of Living Lab. Is a good starting point to establish Living Lab and also to assess the activities. But the assessment is done through indicators that by experience, by implementing several projects, it is clear that they cannot be used in the same way, in the sense that not all the indicators can be approached and the result can be obtained at the same way, the same quantity, the same level of attainment in all the living lab. The indicators in general better suited to characterize the specifics of a living lab in a particular sector than to judge upon the overall quality of a living lab and trying to make a ranking out of it. Also this will be a question that we will discuss together to identify our indicators. And general indicators good for every country and specific indicator for each living lab in the specific country. Another project is Core Lab, who identified 7 categories indicators for the evaluation of the living lab. I try to go fast through this. User involvement. This is a key element for a living lab and should be a focal point for the living lab. The focus is on finding out what the relevant experiences, methods, tools that the living labs benefit from are. So which is the benefit a user can have from the application, implementation, organization of living lab? So, for instance, the questions could be concerning organizational issues can be how to organize user involvement, how to find the right users, what about the validity, how to motivate the users. From a technological point of view, how to get access to large user groups, how to analyze large amount of data. In the social analyzing the social context data, application usage data, user experience data collected in real life setting present new challenges. It is not clear a priori which data is relevant. So this analysis of data is something that must be developed together. Therefore, new analysis and reporting modules might be needed along with the scalable, flexible storage, computing resources to cope with a large amount. Service creation is another second indicator. Service creation is the way Living Lab are committed to create new services. The value added implies that bringing something new and needed to the table. So real needs to be satisfied. Historically, the development of Living Labs has been stimulated by the cross-regional need to improve innovation and competitiveness. If you think to the previous programming period, it was compulsory to speak always, explain always how the cross-regional needs were considered in the proposal. Service creation within the European network of Living Lab. This is a network, a Living Lab, where there are several experiences, several case studies. You have here the link. Should have or originally were intended to have a pan-European relevance as opposed to that national or regional relevance. What we are doing, and we are providing data and information, is the enlargement of a European point of view to a neighboring region, which is the Mediterranean area. And this is new. So we provide new insight, new data, new indicators, very useful for the external policies of a European community. External policies are the cooperation, the policies concerning cooperation with countries not included in the European, not only European Union, but also in the European area of policies and threats. The objectives of such an environment provide us with the three underlying categories of required services. Services supporting collaborative innovation, services supporting validation and demonstration, and services specific to stakeholder requirements. We are working at least in two of these services. In this NORL network, three types of horizontal services structure are in the matrix. Technical services, that means communication, collaboration, demonstration, prototyping, validation, product development, etc. Customer services, innovation, idea generation, community services, training, specific service needs, business support, market customization, and the third is intra-network services, governance, management, and training. But this is really the management of this network. Infrastructure. Within this context, a simple definition of infrastructure can be given as the basic facilities, services, and installations or underlying framework of features required for the operation of a Living Lab. We were working, I think, in the last 2 years on the construction of this infrastructure, and each Living Lab, national Living Lab, was deciding independently which infrastructure were needed. The first set of criteria determines which infrastructure are chosen to be used. So why you chose this. Infrastructure will be chosen depending on the environment in which the Living Lab is to be deployed and the objectives which are to be achieved, but also on the background of the places. The second category includes criteria defining which infrastructure are candidates to achieve the Living Lab self-sustainability. This is something that could be common, even though the targets of information, communication, and action plan differ because they are in different countries. The key ones in each living lab will be shared within the network. We could, this is said by this network of living lab, but this can be shared in our cross-border living lab because we can consider our cross-border living lab as a network, cross-border network of living lab. The third set of criteria will determine infrastructures are not apt to evolve and adapt than others. So make a wise judgment of what is good and the level of scalability. The organizational perspective describes the infrastructure used in each living lab with the purpose of supporting the organization of the living lab. The contextual perspective describes the infrastructure used in each living lab in the context of the living lab, not of the network. Finally, the technological perspective describes the infrastructure used in each living lab as the technology backbone of the living lab. So this is something that we will add in our training material explaining in each country this perspective. Organization and governance of the living lab describes the way it is organized, managed at different levels, such as the operational or strategical ones. The strategical level deals with the issues like the way intellectual property rights exploitation results are dealt with, the way stakeholders are involved, also financial contribution, responsibility, etc. Financing, public-private partnership, commercial, ownership of the living lab, that is the services, infrastructure, and the responsible entity for the living lab. We already identified this because we said that the living lab will be property of the city together with the university. Also, the steering board, the director, the program committee, user committee, driver and nature of the living lab, community-driven, research-driven, business industry-driven, technology-driven, depends on what the activities are done. And also to see the necessity to add other partners, other groups. This should be a reflection at the end of the project to see to support the sustainability of the living lab we organize. The operational level includes working practices for the day-to-day management, execution monitoring, the living lab, internal communication, quality and progress and monitoring, new software services introduced and validated, etc. National and international consolidation, the way projects are organized and funded. So the idea, the way other projects will be developed in the living lab. Innovation outcomes, this is clear. For Ericsson, the director said research is making knowledge out of money. Innovation is making money out of knowledge. It is a tricky sentence, but this is the state of art of the relation between academia and enterprises. The problem is that the process of research and innovation are not automatic. Current research presents a view of a sociological perspective of innovation and a change from the linear process, remember the mode 2 of knowledge transfer, to a user-centric approach where the technological research and sociological aspects are equally addressed. Innovation is the process by which new ideas are put into practice and can be seen as a learning and knowledge process within a community. And this is something that we have to develop, to explain, and to provide information.
Professor, I'm sorry, because we have to stay on schedule. If you could accelerate your speech.
Okay, I will go very, very fast. Methods and tools, this is another thing that we will add to our training materials and the report. And consider that what is important is co-creation, data preparation, and the last indicator is supporting innovation. How we can do it? Okay, so this is what I wanted to underline today, and this is included in a huge amount of information I provided you that we have to not simplify, but categorize and put in the right place what is done, what can be done, what is expected to be achieved. And I'm preparing this addenda. I was very optimistic when they said that it is easy, but it's not easy because there are so many variables to be considered that I need to make a very wise choice, at least for the first draft. And then we will discuss together. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Anna Tozzi from the Italian partner of University of L'Aquila. Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay.
Okay, we can proceed now to our next speech. So I'm calling to the floor Professor Yasser Gaber Dessouky, the Egyptian partner in Alexandria. Professor Dessouky is the Dean of Scientific Research. Hannah, okay. Because I have the schedule vice versa, that's okay. Okay, I call to the floor Professor Hannah Gouda. She's a professor in the Arab Academy of Science, Technology and Maritime Transport. Professor, the floor is yours. Thank you.
I'm really happy to be in this region, in the east, the beautiful and the peaceful city. Let me present myself. I'm Gouda, professor in education science. I'm not engineer. And I'm very here to give you a brief presentation about some open points from my research on the future of education, the approach of the universities in the sustainable development goals, and to the future of generations in general. So the main point is the digital skills, in between different skills. The role of higher education is providing the relevant skills needed for the digital age. So we have to know first who are the target. They are a generation totally different than us. And with time, we noticed all decision makers in the government, in the whole world, noted that there is a big problem in the labor market because the graduates are not skilled, simply. As practical importance of this point, that the difference of the employment world over the time are totally different, and we are going to a really severe problem in according to the development of each country within 5 or 10 years. I'm trying to be very brief, and the screen is not ready, so I will go quickly, but with pleasure you can keep the presentation. Another practical importance that the technology development transformed already the information. The information is very easy. The knowledge is through Mr. Google or any other way for having the knowledge, the simple information, but the skills, especially the digital skills to use in a practical way this information, need a training. Already 23% of business indicate that they will reduce the workforce to the technology development. 84 digitalizing already the working process, significant expansion of labor force are now mandatory for operation. We are afraid, we are really afraid for the future of labor markets. So the evolution of this labor market, these are almost results from 2 research I've made, that traveling very fast, maybe plus the COVID-19 and with the growth of new technologies a must. Impact of technologies, I guess we don't need to repeat it, that lead us, led us to a mass job displacement, shortage of human skills, and that's the point of the presentation, and the human intelligence being now replacing by the artificial intelligence. By 2025, and I'm afraid it's a bit, I prepared this presentation around 6 months or 8 months ago, and it's very, very steep. I changed some graphs here. I'm sorry, it's a very limited way to show it, but we can read here that we have opportunities, we have cloud computing, we have big data, we have the Internet of Things, and the most impressive graphs in this slide. Unemployment rates over the world, and in Egypt simply, and the technology is really related to the unemployment. I don't have Greece, Italy, Jordan, Palestine, or the country of each partner have this problem or not, but I guess it's coming if you don't have it. The perceived barrier for the adoption of the real technology are mentioned by the World Economic Forum. It's 2020. We can have as first reason the skills gap in the local labor market, the inability to attract more talent from the graduates. Those are, I guess, the role of universities, these 2 points. Plus the COVID-19, we had a lot of speeches and presentations about the COVID-19, but it was the element or the factor who really initiates the real problem, which all is facing now, because it's accelerating the effect of technology in the market, allowing the arrival of the future of work, which already began in different countries, more developed maybe than Egypt. The planned business adoption in response to COVID-19, I will try to go quickly on this. Of the work process. So what are the needed skills forecasted to the new normal from an academic point of view as the role of universities? We need 15, maybe more, needed skills for the 2025 due to the dynamic of the labor market. Those skills or these skills almost already existing from a perspective of education management. But now all educators introduced the digital skills and different mini skills related to the digital skills according to the type of work. As analytical skills and innovation, I'm glad to join the approach of Professor Anatozi in the role of universities and how it could be a fatal mistake to ignore the government approach to really support universities, because in the education books, the role of university is to help society. Really, it's written to their world, to their future, not to ours. We have the active learning and the learning strategies. Definitely, we apply this, but the active learning is now in bad need of equipments, labs, and facilities, because the new generation, especially the generation Z and the generation Alpha, are completely different than the generation Y, generation X, that I guess most of us. The critical thinking, the creativity, the leadership, and social influence. And allow me here to have just a pause on the leadership. I'm the Dean of Leadership Institute at the Arab Academy, and thanks for my colleague, Professor Yasser, for allowing me to come here and to participate with you. In the Leadership Institute, we offer Master in Leadership in 3 majors: educational management, business strategy, and creation of the public sector. We have diplomas at 3 majors, and we have a gender and policy from a governance perspective, and around 12 or maybe 15 courses about the skills needed by generations and everything related to the leadership skills, top managers, middle managers, customized according to the sector in which these managers are. So the leadership and social influence here has different perspectives, because we should address our leadership approaches and skills to the new generation, because they should start now making their future. So we have to lead them with a kind of customizing our approaches, but in their ways for their future. Technology, of course, and the design and programming. Resilience, stress, tolerance, reasoning, emotional intelligence, troubleshooting, service orientation, all these already maybe exist in somewhere. The companies expected changes to the workforce by 2025. Yes, most companies, according to different surveys, are in process of development. The share of tasks performed by humans versus the machines, from my personal point of view, I think already this is the most critical slide in this presentation, because it's real, it starts to be real, especially in the developed countries. As a summary for the slides, 94% of business leaders report that they anticipate employees to pick up new skills for their job. 40% of workers are requiring digital reskilling for an average of 6 months at least. 1 in 10 workers are in occupation are likely to grow. 1 in 5 workers are in occupations that will decline, not are likely to decline, but will decline. Skills continue to be needed, and there is a gap, and here is another summary of the summary. You can have it in your free time. And after that, as global competitiveness, all countries try to pick the most important and needed action for it. And the possible course of action here, responsibility is for every stakeholders and decision makers, but here we just highlight the higher education. I have here 3 or 4 slides, but I'm afraid I'm out of time, which talk about the different success stories of countries. So please take a look later as government and as initiatives. the initiative for upskilling and the initiatives in general in universities and different institutions. The higher education should encourage, and I just think in my personal research, these elements to be highlighted in every educational institution, not also universities, but also centers, institutes. The possible initiatives as the OECD, don't have here the, it's okay, the reference I would have liked to mention. The possible initiatives are a lot of initiatives according to each country and according to facilities. And if we maybe in another project we succeed to have an approach as mentioned from Professor Anatuzzi, it will be great to have another meetings to, if it's possible, to enlarge our discussions and talk about different success stories or different perspectives or research of all partners. Finally, these are the educational perspectives mentioned in the UNESCO as education pillars. The situation now, I guess we already mentioned in the beginning of the presentation that it depends on the level and the degree of development of each countries and number and level of population for sure. And I'll just conclude that the world needs a revolution to reinstall skills. Every 9 out of 10 jobs require digital skills. Technical skills continue to dominate jobs of tomorrow and already started from 2022. Human and personal skills will remain crucial because we don't have to go as far as we are already. Thank you, and I'm sorry if I've took time.
Much, Professor Hannah Judah. She analyzed the role of higher education in providing the relevant skills needed for the digital age. She's professor in the Arab Academy of Science, Technology, and Maritime International. Thank you. So we proceed to our last speech today. I'm calling the floor the representative from the Al-Balq Advanced University from Jordan, Ayat Kassim. The floor is yours.
I want today to present how the Liquid project help to improve the water management and water management practice in Al-Fasl region in the south, in the north of Jordan, and it's located in about 7 kilometers from the south of Erbil. And our campus is located in this region. It's called Al-Fasl College University. Actually, Al-Fasl is with a population of 25,000, and it's about 20 kilometers from the Syrian-Jordanian border, and it's close to the Jordan River at the border of Palestine. So the water source in Idlib is facing multiple challenges due to the increasing of population and urbanization, which that lead to decline in water quality and quantity. And the main water source in Jordan is Asaka River, which has heavy lead to decline in water quality and water resource also. So one of the primary uses of the water in Al-Fasson is domestic consumption. Actually, it's around 165 liters per capita per day. It's according to WFG in 2018. And to management the quality and to management the resource of the practice in Al-Hasa region, we start with the survey and with the questionnaire which was mentioned by Prof. Petros, and it's developed by our partners in International University from Greece. And we start to distribute the survey in Al-Husn region according to the gender representative, according to the nationalities, and of course the age group was taken into account. The representative sample was around 328, and we start to conclude the data and analysis it via Excel and SPSS. So let me share with you the most important result of this questionnaire. The questionnaire result showed that around half of the target sample was know the amount of the water they have consumed at the home, and unfortunately they didn't use the tap water with, so even if it was filter or even if it without filter, they didn't use it nearby, and they use the filtered water, and they say that it's better to alternative, and around 91% have drinking bottled water. They justify that because the concern is about water quality and safety. The 77% of the samples say that they use filtered water based on test or based on quality certificate or and consumption, and they the target sample use which we use household filter is around 62%, and 45 of them didn't know the type of the filter they use in their home. So the other 17% which use filter in home, they use carbon filter or water desalination or sand filter. 55 of the target sample have a little bit in trust, unfortunately, with the water company in their area. So we thought that they deliver they can't deliver a high quality drinking water, and they saw that the main reason for the decline in water quality is present on solid waste disposal side, and the sample decrease in water quality through industrial activity, and the 55% they use agriculture chemical that affect the quality of water. 62 of the target sample use household filter, and 45 of them didn't know the type of filter they use. And according to the awareness of drinking water, 86 of the targeted sample didn't know where to ask for the information about if they face any problem with water. They didn't know where to go or what to ask for this problem. And the 46% competition. So the amount of target sample which participants in the awareness session is around 28%, and that is so a little. So 71 of the target sample had never participated in any environmental awareness program, and but when we asked them about the willing to use and buy recycling water, 53 of the target sample applied that they may use the water from the recycled water, and about the source of the water they have to laundry and garden and car washing. 63 of the person agree they can use rainwater for the laundry or for garden water, and 85 of the persons they use grey water for this uses. The study showed that 45 of the sample were aware of such plants, which is recycling water plant or treatment water plant, and 38 of the person they didn't know what is that plant exactly, and around 50% they didn't never hear about that plant, and the 30% of the participants showed that they regarding buying food from the uses recycling water for irrigation, and 80% refuse to buy food from a farmer which use grey water or use recycling water to farm, and 60% consider it's unhealthy for them or for their children to use recycling water. So raise our citizen awareness for grey water reuse and for treatment plan, we signed a MOU with a startup company which called Solvegon to start make a next step with testing the sample which was entered from system to grey water system, grey water treatment system, and now we are testing this samples to know if that samples is good to use for agriculture, for domestic, and we use swab lab to test this sample. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your time.
Especially thank engineer Aya Hasanek from the BA University from Jordan. So that was it for today. We close the day one. Thank you very much for your attendance. Now we have concluded with the speeches and the presentations, and we already have the coffee break, so we can proceed now to the visit to the water treatment lab at here to see the diagram of project partner 1 in action regarding all the results we have achieved in the living lab of water. So, thank you very much for your attendance today.
Also, we would like to mention that here is the Archeo lab, so kind is the equipment that we use, and we will show you some of the equipment we use for the Archeo lab.
The equipment you see on behind has been used to cover the needs of the gate of sensors, which is here located in the city of Keys. We use these cameras, digital cameras, to make advanced augmented reality, which can be seen also online. So thank you for your